Good morning and welcome to Day One Outdoors. On today's episode, we will be targeting Chinook and Coho Salmon out here in beautiful Astoria, Oregon. Now we are expected to receive nearly 3 million salmon up the Columbia River Basin. But first, you gotta find them out in the ocean. On today's episode, watch as we break down our gear and equipment and show how to target these fish in an intimidating body of water like the Pacific. That's right now on Day One Outdoors. The outdoors is not a hobby. It's not our passion. It is our way of life. We can make the perfect cast, slow our breathing to execute a perfect shot, spend hours researching locations and techniques. Regardless of effort, we fail. This series is not about incredible bites. It's not about trophy animals. Our goal here at Day One Outdoors is to educate our viewers utilizing new technology to offer a different perspective. Watch as we research new areas, plan out the day, and adjust to changing conditions. If it were not for other experienced outdoorsmen teaching me along the way, I wouldn't have this life. I owe it to them to pass this knowledge along. I owe it to you. Join us here on Day One Outdoors, and let's learn how to become more successful in the field and on the water from day one. We're getting our gear put together right now, and Brandon, we're starting to determine what we're going to use out there. The ocean is a large body of water, and it can be really difficult to find these fish. So let's talk about location first, because in my opinion, if you aren't near the fish, no matter what you use, you can't catch them. So what type of water are we looking for?
Well, right now, Cody, we're in the middle of July. So when I came down here in the middle of June, we were normally fishing north. Okay. North being like north of the North Jetty, Lighthouse, Condo, Seaview, sure. Long Beach.
Okay.
We had a lot of warm water now because we have El Nino this year, so it's really pushed that warm water in close to the shore. So we're going to be fishing the top tier of the water column, and we're actually going to fish south.
Okay.
So as the Columbia River goes out into the ocean, you got the red line, you got the green line. Green line going out to buoy 1, red line going out to 2, out to CR buoy.
Right.
Okay, everybody's heard of the CR buoy fishery.
Yep.
That's where we're actually going to go out and start today. Okay. When I was out there the other day, it was absolutely glassy calm down there, whereas north was a little bit bumpy, and plenty of fish around. So
let's talk about our gear now and what we're going to be using. Now, we are heading south. There's probably going to be more coho than there are Chinook. Let's talk about the gear, and then we'll go into colors and baits and lures.
Perfect. Okay. So this is a pretty easy, simple setup here. There's a couple ways you can fish this. This diver I'm showing off here, this is a Delta diver. There are a couple different divers you can use, a dipsy diver, a deep six diver, right. Pink lady. There's a lot of different divers out there in the market. I'm kind of a Delta diver fan, and a lot of us guys down here that do fish every day, we do fish Delta divers because we know where they're going to fish. We know they're going to hold the depth line where we put them at. And they've got some really good color combinations that we do like.
They do, and they pull at a lot steeper angle. Yep. And so when you're fishing a lot of rods, 4, 5, 6 rods, you can fish them almost straight up and down, and they aren't scoping out, and they aren't getting tangled up in everybody else's gear. Now, why are guys using divers, not lead?
Well, leads work really great, but when you get a really rough ocean, and that rough, your boat's kind of listing left and right, back and forth, those leads get lifted up so much, drop back down so much, you miss a lot of bites.
Gotcha.
This diver helps, with this board, helps keep everything right where it needs to be out in the water column.
Sure.
Where versus the lead going up and down, and getting your stuff all tangled up. Yep. I've used leads before. I used light leads, and I put them way out the back and have a lot of scope in my line, and they work fine. But if you're going to fish them close, this is the way to go.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So let's move on down to your flashes. I know there's a lot of flashes out there on the market, and they all work great. Yeah. But you and I both, we've been running these Yakima Bay flashes here for a while, and they've really come a long ways here in the last few years, especially with these new blades. I can see it right now, that sun coming off of it, just in this low light condition, that UV coming off the edge of the blade. That's nothing to do with the tape. So let's talk about that and what colors you're using.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, these are the Yakima bait flashers. This is the medium-sized flasher here. And if you can kind of zoom in, you kind of see there's a little bit of a purple blue tint to the plastic.
Right.
And this is a UV plastic.
Sure.
Okay. They actually injection mold these into a press, and they put the grommets on these. So, but here I think I've got just a normal 4-foot, 30-pound leader, and I run a 2-hook system here for the fishing our anchovies.
Okay.
Okay.
And I noticed it's a fixed rig, and then what size are those hooks?
You know, I was using 2-aughts earlier this year, and now I moved into 3 and 4-aughts. I found that my 2-aughts was missing a few more bites, so now I moved a little bigger hooks. I've been more successful. I'm running a 3 trailing hook and a 4-aught front hook. These are of course barbless. Okay. And I just tie them in a fixed rig, and I use about 1.5 inches between the gaps of the bottom of the shank of the 4-aught and the top of the 3-aught.
And that's because of the way that we hook up these anchovies. It's a pretty fast and furious bite out there when you find the fish, and the way that we hook up these anchovies is pretty simple.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, let's get our gear put together, head out there, man. I'm ready to start whacking some fish.
Let's go to the bar, man.
Considering reports from the last week, we had high hopes for the day. Our plan was in place, we checked the ocean conditions once more, and now it was time to head across the Columbia River Bar in search of hard-fighting Chinook and Coho salmon.
No, because well, I have a smaller one here, but it is a keeper, so we will keep this fish. And that was on a spoon. You can see the spoon right there. That was good for Coho and Chinook. This one down here. So that's that egg-shaped pink spoon. Got a nice Coho. It also gets Chinook really well too. It's always good to have some hardware out there, because you never know if they're gonna be more of a bait bite, hardware bite, just what's going on. But you know, hooked very well right there, corner of the mouth. Good small Coho, but good eats for the barbecue. It's a really important thing to do to all your fish is always bleed them right away. You want to get that blood while the heart's still pumping out of them. I take my knife, I go underneath and it's underneath this jaw here, go up into the roof of the mouth, and I cut all the way across both sides. You get a nice drain, a lot of blood come out of it, so you can get that really fresh taste in his meat. You don't have that really bloody, fishy taste. Okay, perfect. Good start for a first couple minutes out here. Oh, no, he's still there, he's still there. There you go. Keep your on him. There you go. You're doing good. Now lift up. There you go. There you go. He's angry. Oh, look on the side. Side of the head. Oh, brought it down. You got it. Just a little bit. There you go. Hatchery, we'll keep this one. Work. Nice. That's a good one. Yeah, that's what we're more like talking about. Very nice grade of Coho there. Got the sea lice down there by the tail. Good quality fish right there. Of course, we can tell this is a Coho. There's a couple ways you can see this. You kind of tell the back. Look how kind of green it is. There's little tiny small dots on them. Look at the mouth in here. The mouth's gonna have a nice white gum line. This one's really well defined. See that whiteness right there his teeth is at? Okay. And another way is look at his tail. No spots on the tail at all. Noko, there's a fish.
Another nice coho and the hatchery. Yeah, absolutely.
So far, so good. One pass in, and we already have a couple keeper coho in the box. Hopefully, the pattern will continue to hold and fish keep biting.
Just came off. So that was actually really cool. We have this one pretty shallow, only at 8 feet down, and a couple of us were just staring down at the diver and flasher, watching it, and oh, that's pretty cool. And actually, I saw the diver start moving, and I went, oh wow. So again, we just had another bite right there too, but we just saw the diver just start to move, and when it started moving, we looked at the rod tip and the rod buckled over and there was a fish.
Fishfield is your one-stop shop online for the gear you need here in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. From salmon and steelhead, saltwater, trout and kokanee, even crabbing. Visit fishfield.com today to place an order with no sales tax and have the gear you need shipped fast. Fishfield.com, we have what the Northwest outdoorsman needs.
Every once in a while, a new lure comes along that catches every angler's attention. It could be because of all the irresistible colors and finishes, or the patented skip beat action. Or maybe it's the wide variety of sizes designed for salmon, trout, walleye, steelhead, mackinaw, and more. But just for the record, we know one thing for certain. We didn't design the maglip to catch fishermen. Yakima Bait Company.
The Columbia River Bar is considered one of the most dangerous bars in the entire world. We have millions of cubic feet of water that exit through a shallow bar right here between the north and south jetty. This makes it very, very dangerous because of the choke point that Clatsop Spit creates and these islands along the Washington shoreline here. All the water from the entire basin extending up into British Columbia exit through this shallow point along the Columbia River. So that makes safety absolutely paramount and what we should keep in the forefront of our minds. Brandon took a moment to talk about life jackets and safety when crossing the bar.
Today we're going over the Columbia River Bar, going out and fishing out around the CR buoy today. The Columbia River Bar is, of course, known as one of the most dangerous bars in the world. Ranked number 2 in the world actually right now. There was a vessel, unfortunately, this year that did go down. We really want to preach safety, and so the Coast Guard really promotes everybody wearing a life preserver, going across the bar, going out and coming back either on a recreational or commercial vessel. Today we're going to be wearing Mustang inflatables. This is actually a hydrostatic inflatable. They have a pill form, and they have a this unit, which is a hydrostatic, and they have a manual version. The manual version just has a jerk cord. The pill version has a pill inside here that when it gets wet, it dissolves and it punctures the capsular that goes off, and it fills up the unit full of air. This one's hydrostatic, so it has to go underwater by 6 inches for it to go off, so you can get rained on and not have it go off like the other pill versions. These are just kind of like worn like a jacket. We put them on like this. Snap it right here. This is it. This is great. This is actually now known as a Type 1 life jacket if it is worn. Type 3 if it's not worn. So recreational vessels can have them as their Type 3s. Guides can have them as Type 1s as long as they're worn on the clientele. I feel very safe wearing this. When this thing goes off, and if you're in the water, it keeps your head above water even if you're unconscious. So at least keeps your head out of the water so you can keep breathing. But this is a very safe unit. There are other manufacturers that do make them, but Mustang makes the best ones, and these retail around the $230 mark.
When crossing the Columbia River Bar, life jackets are always important, but pay attention also to your wind speed, your swell direction, and swell height. No silverfish is ever worth a life. Keep those factors in consideration when jumping out in the ocean. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
Salmon swim up to 3,000 miles to return to their exact place of birth to reproduce. Well, most of the time.
With the couple fish in the box, we thought we were well on our way to a quick limit. But the bite slowed, and a change had to be made.
So far we were out here about 40 minutes. We've had some action. We've got 4 in the box. We've let one go. We lost one at the boat. Had a couple other drive-by bites. We're at the 260-foot line right now. I've kind of been going west-southwest from the CR buoy. With these big outgoing tides, these fish get pushed way out here past the CR. And we've been trolling for a little bit without getting a bite, so I'm going to actually reel back up. We're going to head back in toward the CR and work a little bit shallower, see if maybe these fish are, we may went past them. Saw a couple other boats between the 2 and the CR. Try in there for a little bit, see what we can do. Head kind of a southwest troll. There's a weather buoy down there. We'll try by that and see if there's any fish in a little bit shallower. But so far we've seen we got a couple fish on a spoon, had a bite on a spinner. The rest of the bites have been on bait. Definitely our shallower rods are getting a bit better than our deeper rods right now as we speak. But we're gonna move it back in, see what we can try out there, try and find the school of fish. We know there's a whole bunch of them out here somewhere. It's just kind of looking around. We got a large body of water. Got to move around. Once we find them, we'll get on them and hopefully get everybody into some fish real quick.
We just picked up and moved, and we moved quite a ways too, and we're about halfway through our day. We have a number of fish in the box, but we have a long ways to go before we get to our limit for the boat. And I'm curious, why did you decide to pick up and move from where we were? Because we found a few pods of fish, but it wasn't consistent by any means. So why did you choose this spot?
You know, I came in here a little bit closer, shallower water, more towards buoy 2, so I'm basically just south of buoy 2. Wanted to try something a little different, see if I could find a rip in here, because we had no rips out west. So I came in here a little bit. We do have an incoming tide right now. We're going to try this here for a little bit. If we don't get this to go, I'm contemplating on going north.
Right.
Go back up over the entrance of the Columbia, go up to buoy 1 and maybe a little bit north of that. See if we can find something up there. Well, what we did, guys, is we actually were west-southwest of the CR buoy by about 4 miles. Came back up here towards the CR. You kind of hear it probably in the background. This is where the Columbia River water comes out, and these fish are kind of hanging around here around all the feed. And so we're going to try right here again, work our way more south this time, a little bit shallower water, and see what we can find out here. Because we know there's a whole bunch of fish. It's just getting on top of them. Once we get on top of them, it should be pretty good. So, you know, right now water depth is about 190 feet, and 190, 200 feet of water, and we're keeping our gear shallow because that's where we got most of our bites, 16, 18, and 20, and see what we can do on this pass here. So make our next slide a little more south, and baits are looking good, rods are looking good, and we're gonna get them.
I get to fight one. Ready? Yeah. I know. Even I get to catch fish sometimes. That's a nice one too. We got that one on the pink spinner with a little hunk of anchovy on it. We just started our second pass here from buoy 2 heading south, and a lot of jellyfish, and that's making it really tough. And then on top of that, the current is starting to shift. So the current speed up on top of the water column is heading south. Down below is still staying stationary or even moving a bit north, so our gear is really pulling hard. That's creating a lot of jellyfish getting pushed into our gear. So it's been tough to keep our gear clean and fishing, but we just cleaned them off, and We got a really nice keeper hatchery coho right now, so hopefully we can get a few more and round out our limit.
Although we were getting a few more bites, the fish were not actively feeding. But we were coming up on the first tide change of the day, and we found our first tidal rip. Brandon put us on the spot. Now it was up to the fish.
That another keeper in the boat. Great. We're making the second pass here between buoy 2 and CR buoy. Okay, we've been trolling here for a little bit. Not much going on yet. Had a few bites up here by the CR again. Heading back down southwest. We're gonna do a quick bait check to kind of see what our baits look like. I'm bringing this one up. Yep, exactly. This one got bit. Definitely did not get hooked, but we definitely had a fish out there chewing on it. We just happened to miss those double hooks. That happens quite a bit. So if you don't get bit for a while out here, reel up and check your stuff out, because otherwise you may be missing an opportunity getting bit around other fish, especially if you don't have any bait on. So we'll put a new bait on this one, Eddie, and we'll get this back in the water.
It was the wrong 10 minutes, Eddie.
You gotta lift that rod to it up and aim. Well, it's talking about that.
Jeez. Wrong with
Was he giving me a hard time about netting fish?
That wasn't that difficult.
Yeah, we're done.
That's another nice coho. Well, all in all today, it was great. It really was. And we limited out in a matter of 6 hours. So what else could you ask for?
In a limit of 7 persons, that's 14 fish. I mean, that was a fabulous day. We're not trying to limit out 4 people. 7 people, I mean, that's hard to do for most people.
And most of our fish were hatchery fish today.
Yeah, I mean, we only released, I would say, 6 natives, I think.
If that, and then some smaller feeders.
Since we had, I think, 4 feeder Chinooks, so, and then we lost a lot of hatchery fish right next to the boat. But it's all good.
So it's a good mix if you're wanting to go out there and go retain some fish. You know, a lot of times during the summer out here, we're having to weed through 4, 5, 6 natives before we even get to a hatchery fish. And so today was a good good mix.
Yeah, you know, I saw this year we've actually had a lot more hatchery fish in the ocean than we've seen in a while. I mean, I rarely let go of more than about 4 fish a day,
Yeah.
other than feeder Chinook, 4 native coho. So we're seeing definitely a lot of hatchery fish, which I'm really excited for this 2015-14 year in the Columbia. They have some phenomenal catching.
Even with millions of coho and Chinook salmon returning to the Columbia River this fall, trying to build a pattern in the vast ocean can be a difficult task. By staying persistent and covering water until the salmon are found, you too can have success on the big pond.